Whew. As a teacher educator, mother, school founder, human, and above all, as a lifelong learner. Most of my lessons never happened in the classroom. Yet, we are always told that we have to go to school to learn. Here is the question. Do learning take place in the school alone? I would have to admit personally that most of my life lessons never happened in the classroom. No, most of my lessons happened in places that may feel unusual to some. But let me allow you to guess. If you were to think about it, where do you think my first lesson or one of my lessons happened? Let's take a guess. Where do you think it happened? It actually happened in yes, in the bathroom. Apart from the bathroom, some of my lessons also happened just by walking around, by exploring nature, just the way I'm doing now, just checking the environment, or even by conversations with people. And those are real life lessons that we need to think about. And as such, let me tell you more about what we'll be doing on this channel. My name is Yetunde S. Alabede. I'm a researcher, a teacher, mother, daughter, and basically what we'll be discussing here is every week we are going to be exploring ordinary things that happens in our daily lives, and we ask, what does that mean and how are we learning from that? What does it mean when we look at our children being hesitant about things? How are we paying attention to body language? How are we thinking critically about our choice of words? How are we thinking about what grasses tends to tell us? Today, I'll be happy to share two stories with you to help us ground a lot of the things we will be talking about on this channel. Like I said, it's not really about, oh, I'm doing this as a research. It is more about life experiences. What has life taught us? What has our culture taught us? What has nature taught us? What are all the children around us teaching us? What is even our language teaching us? My first story. Remember how I said one of my first lessons happened in the bathroom? Yes. So here is the story. Ready? Steady? Go. On this fateful day, around 3 a.m. ish, my then 4-year-old daughter woke up and she was vomiting. The first vomit was on the bed. Ìgbà tó máa bì tán, a sáré rush a lọ sí bathroom. Cleaned up. Usually, I thought that would stop, but we had 3 rounds of vomits láàrin 2-3 minute interval. And for each of the vomits, I try what I know, either tap her back, give her water, so many things, including trying to see if juice will work. None of those work. And one thing that I've learned over years is that I am a very reflective person. And beyond being reflective is the fact that we barely really eat out. Don't get me wrong, mi ní pé kò dáa kí a máa rí oúnjẹ jẹ níta, no. It's just by choice and to save cost. So we try to cook most of our food. So apparently, because the vomit did not stop for my daughter, I started thinking that kí ló lè fa tọmọ yìí vomit, and I think that is motherhood or parenting instinct already, trying to figure things out. So I realized that the night before, ó ṣáà ti jẹ gbogbo ẹ̀ mọ́ra wọn, she has had a lot of things. But the story I'm sharing is not about what she had had earlier. Neither is also not about the vomit, but more about how just listening to the child helped me. Remember how I said multi try rishi? And this child, she was a bit weak, right? And guess what she said? She was like, Mama, I don't want water again. I want, guess what she said she wanted? This girl said she wanted cracker. Basically, we do have animal cracker at home. And I know for my friends in Nigeria, we can think about Kemp's cracker or maybe something that's bland. Let me put it that way. Lo and behold, I gave this girl the animal cracker. And after having that, there was no occurrence of vomit till in the morning. Could the see fever? Our temperature was fine. And I think that was why I was able to feel like she must have eaten something that is reacting in her tummy. But the cracker worked. Now, remember how I said it's not about the bathroom, it's not about the vomit, but more about the lesson I learned from her. The question goes back to us. How many of us tends to listen to our children? How many of us have ignored what they tell us? Because we feel like, yeah, I'm the mama, I'm the daddy, I know it all. I would like to admit that just by listening to her saved me a lot of stress. That story is one of the many stories I've had to listen to this child. And in so many instances, that has helped. That is story one. Let me take us back again that the goal of this channel is for us to think about basic learning moments. This channel is an invitation for us to rethink how learning is a continuum and how we learn in basic, simple places or incidents, paying attention to details, paying attention to something that feels like it's very minor. I also want to remind us one thing before I move to the second story. I want to remind us that on this channel, we'll be speaking English, yes. English is the official language, but those of you that know me, we're going to add Yoruba to it. Beyond Yoruba, we're going to add Pidgin. Please be ready for that. And apart from that, is element of Igbo, Hausa, or other languages that comes in, which means that we'll incorporate all languages. If you need translation, add comment section, and I'll be happy to add that. But the goal of this channel also is to highlight the fact that all languages are important. And in all my conversation on this channel, I will embody that indeed and in truth. Now, to our second story. Way back in 2024, I was at, okay, I'm not going to mention the place, but I was in Nigeria. And like the first story, this story is also not about going back and forth, but it's about the lesson I learned. On this fateful day, we were still doing the runs of Ebunluwa Children's School, wanting to do the documentation. And we were in a gathering whereby we needed to have conversation, and my daughter was playing with an 11-year-old boy who happens to be a student in the school that I went to. Apparently, they were on break then. Break, no man in recess, whereby children go out to go and play. And My daughter was just trying to play with them. But guess the first question that the boy asked my daughter. Anybody wants to guess? As you are thinking about the first question the boy asked my daughter, it's also an invitation for you to think about what is the first question you think should have happened or what conversation should have happened. The question the boy asked my daughter was, is that your mother? And my daughter was like, oh, my name is this. I don't know if she didn't hear the boy or she was not just ready to respond to that. You know, children can be funny at times, like they will just focus on what matters to them. And the boy asked again. And my daughter's response was, ask my mother. That moment got me thinking, why was that the question? And along the line, the boy actually said, this is not your mother. Auntie anyone. Auntie anyone means she's your aunt. She's not your mother. While that seems not really new to me. And so what stood out to me was, why was the boy asking that? Maybe I was too arrogant enough or trying to prove myself that, yeah, I'm a mother, blah, 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 blah. Maybe that prevented me from learning more from the boy. Otherwise, a part of me eventually realized after reflecting that instead of me proving myself to that 11-year-old, maybe, while I would have asked him that, oh, kilo de to fi sọ pé àǹtí ẹ̀ ni mí, like, why did you say I'm our aunt instead of mother? I believe that would have opened up so many conversations that I may not even have known about myself. And that will allow me to learn from the boy and with the boy. But I was too arrogant. And I got home, started thinking, if you were in my shoe, what would you have done? Remember how I said, how are we learning or paying attention to things that feel very minute? I still carry that with me till date, that I should have listened or hear more from the boy. Maybe there may be some revelations about me that you may want to tell me that I didn't get to know. Maybe there were important learning moments, not only for me, but my daughter. But it was great to see that the two kids got along, they were playing and just being silly, running around. But I still think about why he was asking me that. These two stories is an invitation to us to think about, where are we learning from? What are we learning from? Who are we learning from? How are past experiences helping us to live in the moment or to even think about the future? Are we focusing everything in the school? And at the end, we'll start saying, oh, a lot of pricing. Think about it. You want to hear more stories? You want to hear more about reflections or everyday moments that contribute to so many things that we learn? Subscribe to this channel, because every week I will be dropping one basic things that I see and how I've learned from that. And I need to say this channel is open to parents, teachers, You all know I'm a teacher. Teacher educators, curriculum specialists, and especially those that are thinking about the importance of speaking multiple languages. Not people that will say, oh, ẹ má sọ Yorùbá sọ́mọ mi, ẹ má sọ Hausa sọ́mọ mi, ẹ má sọ Igbo sọ́mọ mi, ẹ má sọ Igede sọ́mọ mi. No. This channel is for people that will allow children to speak all their languages in addition to English. Because I do lots of multilingualism. Multilingualism is thinking about speaking more than one language. I remain my humble self, Yetunde S. Alabede. Join me on this ride to be talking about stories and how we are learning. Feel free to put in the comment section questions you have for me or you would like me to talk about. Remember, my goal is to be sharing small moments and how we are learning from that. And this will cut across education, schooling, parenting, lifestyle, and all in between. Remember, Yetunde doesn't know it all. Yetunde is not perfect. Yetunde is using this as a way to reflect, to learn, and to keep growing. Daalu. Ẹ ṣeun púpọ̀. Gracias. Ó dàbọ̀ o.